Welcome back, guys. Today we are doing another series. This is the Beauty Explained series, and first off is waxing. And we will be looking at what it is and what does it do, what types of waxing exists, and if you need it, then when should you use it. So what is waxing and what does it do? Waxing is a method to remove hair. And what it does is you actually warm up usually the wax, put it over the place you want the hair removed, and then you simply rip it out by brute force to get the hairs out. And that is simply why it takes a long time for new hair to grow out, because you actually do not just rip out the hair, you also rip out some of the hair follicle, the part that produces new hair. So when this one gets destroyed, it has to reproduce itself before it can actually make new hair. So it might take 4 to 6 weeks for you to actually have to wax again in that specific place, because it might take that long for it to restore itself. Actually, after you have waxed a lot of time in the same place, the hair follicle can be so destroyed that it actually cannot reproduce more hair. That's also why some people, after getting waxed for years and years and years, don't even get new hair those places. And lastly, the most common places you can get waxed is actually pretty much everywhere. Usually people choose like the face, the brows, underarms, armpits, legs, especially legs, but you can really get waxed pretty much everywhere as long as your pain tolerance is pretty high. What types of wax exist? The most common types are actually pistol wax or hot/warm wax. And usually just before starting this what types exist, if you have trouble getting this warm wax out, it is very sticky. If you still have residue left, try using oil. Oil is one of the best things to actually get the wax off it. Pistol wax or roll wax is one of the most common types of wax because it is very easy and not as messy as a loose wax would be. You simply have this holder and you put a cartridge in it. It then heats the wax up, you roll it on and take it off again. That's simply how it is done. So it is very fast, very convenient, doesn't really leave a mess behind. You simply just switch out the cartridge when you're done with it. So it is definitely very easy and not very messy. Warm wax, or also called spatula wax, is actually heated in a special container that you use for warming this. So when you have heated it to the desired temperature, you use this piece of specially made paper to rip it off again after you have put it on. And this usually takes hair down a little smaller than the pistol wax would do. Hot wax or hard wax is also heated in a special container. It is then put on, and after a few moments it hardens. Then you can simply pull it out with your hands, of course with gloves on. And this type of wax usually takes the hair down to the millimeter. So it really takes a lot more than both the pistol wax and the warm wax would do. I have chosen to put sugaring on this list too because it is very similar to how you would normally wax, and it is also a form of depilation. To depilate means to temporarily remove hair, and it is also the oldest type of hair removal that actually dates back to the ancient Egypt. So kind of a fun type that it's been around for so long. It's also one of the gentlest forms of hair removal because you take this warm sugar ball and just massage it onto where you want the hair gone until it rips out the hair. simply when you kind of exfoliate the hair off, if you could say it like that. So that's kind of how you do it. You just do it with your bare hands on the skin, and that's also why it's very gentle. You can just wash this off with water, so it's not sticky at all like normal wax would be, but it doesn't like hold on for as long because you don't rip the hair follicle out. It doesn't have to repair itself like it has with wax. But on the other hand, it can take hair down to the millimeter too. It really takes the smallest hairs, but you have to do it more often than you would do normal waxing. Pre-made waxing strips are some of the most used waxing techniques, at least at home, because it is very easy, super cheap and super fast. So you simply buy a pre-made strip or a pack of pre-made strips where there is already wax on. You just put the strip on where you want the wax to be gone, rub it to heat the wax so that it will grip to the hairs, and rip it out. It is actually as simple as that, and you can get it for many different types. You can get it for the face, for the legs, for the arms. It doesn't really matter. You can get pretty much everywhere or everything by now. So it's a very easy way to do it at home if you don't want to spend the money to go out and get it done. But this can't really take the hair down to the millimeter like some of the others can. It can only take like the most visible hairs because it doesn't grip as well. It has been pre-made, and wax is usually best when it has just been heated because it grips better to the hairs. Chocolate wax is a type of wax that goes on exactly like the other. So you simply smear it out after having it warmed, pull it off again. Simple. But the funny fact with chocolate wax is that it contains a lot of nourishing ingredients, often things like glycerin or cocoa, sunflower or almond oil. So these nourishing ingredients help the skin feel hydrated and more smooth after you have actually waxed it. So for example, it leaves the skin much more nice afterwards than a normal wax would, because a normal wax can be a bit harsh to the skin. So because of these nourishing ingredients, it might also hurt less to be waxed with chocolate wax than it would with the other types. And again, it leaves the skin moisturized and feeling smoother and better. Another fun fact with the chocolate wax is that it can actually be aromatherapeutic. We already know the smell of chocolate can start some things in our brains, and this smells like chocolate, so it can be a really good and nice overall experience. This type of wax is not seen as often though, simply because it is a bit more rare, it is a bit more expensive too, and not really as accessible as the other types. Fruit wax is the last type of wax I have on the list, and it gets applied like the other. You simply warm it up, put it on and rip it off again. This one is a more gentle form of wax because it has been infused with either fruit or berry extracts, so it has antioxidant properties, it nourishes the skin and moisturizes it, and therefore it doesn't hurt as much when you wax because of these antioxidant and nourishing ingredients. So it's a much gentler form of waxing, but it is also on the other hand more expensive. So do I need it, and when should I use it? That is the last question we ask. And waxing is really not for everyone, because it literally rips out not just the hair, but parts of the follicle and the dead skin cells. That's why some people think it hurts a lot. You are literally tearing and ripping off on the skin. That is why it might hurt. So if you have a very low pain tolerance, waxing might not be for you. But in general, for everyone who wants to remove unwanted hair, waxing is a great idea. And though it is a great idea, there are some things you have to consider before waxing, and I'll just put them up so you can read them, while I also tell you it might be a bit easier to see it at the same time as getting it told. So, before waxing you need to consider if you have wounds, infections, big bruises or cuts, because that might irritate or hurt or rip these cuts up. If you have like birthmarks or warts, you have to be careful around these, not to rip it too much. Again, waxing really tugs on the skin, so you have to be careful with these things. If you have super sensitive or irritated skin, you should not wax. Try something else, because again, it's hard on the skin and you might irritate it. If you have sunburns, just don't, please. It will not help anything, it will just hurt. Also, if you are diabetic, you can definitely wax, but if you're on some special type of medication because of it, or there could be some conditions that are underlying together with your diabetes, you should consult your doctor before waxing just to make sure that there is no problems. Then again, medication, it can alter the skin's construction, so you might want to be careful if you take some type of medication that are making your skin more irritable or more sensitive, for example. Also, if you have skin diseases, it will really irritate more than it will do you good. So please just have some common sense about getting waxed. If you have anything that you're not sure about, try asking a professional. So we have talked about the things you have to consider before waxing. And again, you should talk with a professional. If you are in doubt about anything, they know a lot about this and have probably done it many times. But after waxing, there are also some things you have to consider, because your skin is actually acting just as if it has a sunburn or was traumatized. It is actually very traumatized, your skin, after waxing. So I will just show you again the things you have to consider after being waxed, and we can read them together. So first off, you don't sunbathe or go to the sauna or swimming pool at least 40 hours after you have waxed. It will irritate your skin way too much. You should not exfoliate either 2 to 3 days after. Again, it will irritate since your follicles are literally ripped open. It is not a good idea, it will just irritate way too much. You should also try to avoid very tight clothes or exercise for the first few days, because the friction caused by the exercise and tight clothes may cause ingrown hair. And really no one needs to wax, but if you don't want these unwanted hairs, if you have unwanted hairs that you don't want, wax is one of the best ways to do it, because it takes so long for the hairs to grow out again. It can take up to 5 to 6 weeks until they grow out, but in general, when your hairs are half a centimeter, the wax should be able to get a grip on it, and you should be able to wax. So when you get around that point in your hair length, you can try waxing again. So that's actually all for today. If you have anything you want explained, please tell me in the comment section down below, and I will definitely get to it. If you enjoyed this video and learned something, give it a thumbs up. You can choose to subscribe to stay for future videos and ring the bell to get notified whenever I post something. Again, that's all for this time, so I just hope you all have a happy life, one day at a time.